Salut tout le monde, c'est StroJPP et aujourd'hui on continue The Council. Alors, on en était là, on était devant la chambre de la tour, et donc on va y aller. Nous y voilà, donc quête, aller dans la chambre de la tour se valide.
There are burnt papers in the chimney. There's a legible fragment left. Hey, I recognize my mother's handwriting. She says, we must find a safer way to communicate. Someone is onto us. Trust in my faith in the man with the sword. So Mother had an accomplice here. Who could it be?
L'homme à l'épée.
Who could she be suspicious of?
Donc elle a un
We must
complice et
find
un
the
homme
next
dont elle doit se
part.
méfier.
Faith, sword. I recognize her love of riddles there. Dante's Paradise.
Encore Dante.
Raise your head and be reassured, for what comes up here from the mortal world must ripen in our rays.
Oh, that reminds me of the ones my mother collects. It's magnetic.
Un aimant, ok. Il y a l'air d'y avoir des choses en dessous là. Rien que je puisse attendre. Un tableau.
St. Paul on the Road to Damascus by Caravaggio.
Il faudra une gelée royale ou alors il faudra une eau de mélisse, je pense, pour éviter de claquer trop de points d'effort. Voilà. Alors soit je prends le mythe de Saint Paul, je crois l'occultisme, soit je prends l'érudition. Je prends l'occultiste plutôt.
Fierce opponent of the first Christians, St. Paul is suddenly struck by the call of Jesus Christ and converts. It's the best known conversion in Christian history, which teaches us that even enemies of Christ can be saved, and even become his greatest apostles after finding faith. From what I can recall, the account of his conversion could be found in the epistles to the Galatians, the Philippians, the Corinthians, and the Acts of the Apostles. Caravaggio attained a magnificent command of black and the play of colors too. Paul facing an ordeal, the curtains of his illusions being raised, and receives the light from his Savior.
Ça m'aide pas beaucoup tout ça. Ah, fermé.
Door appears to be locked on the other side.
Bah ouvrir. Ah,
I think I heard something fall to the ground. A metallic sound, like a key falling to the floor.
utiliser le disque pour essayer de récupérer la clé.
We'll see if it works.
Ah, très bien. Puissant les mots.
It's open.
Merci, Captain Obvious. Ok. Explorons un peu tout ça.
A chest with the occult symbol representing air.
J'ai une clé, je crois, pour le symbole de la terre et de l'eau, mais pas de l'air.
A drawing of the Apostle Matthew, painted by Guido Reni. He's represented as writing the word of the Lord, transmitted by the Holy Spirit, who appears here in the guise of an angel.
Bouquin.
The New Testament.
Putain, analyser le livre. Cette Bible est célèbre. Ça va, c'est des trucs qui me coûtent rien.
This volume dates from the first edition of Gutenberg. It's the first book that was ever printed.
Premier livre à avoir été
Pages are
imprimé.
covered in annotations in Latin, French, and Hebrew. Someone spent years studying this Bible.
This book is incredibly precious. I believe this is the book my mother referred to when calling upon the Lord.
A volume of the Gutenberg Bible.
Ok, bon, bah, je peux le lire, mais oh là là. Bon, bah, je vais le lire, mais je couperai sûrement ça au montage. Hein. Oh là là, mais vous êtes sérieux?
And it came to pass in those days that Jesus came from Nazareth of Galilee and was baptized by John in Jordan.
Ok, il me sort du truc à chaque fois, ce qui veut dire qu'il m'autorise à lire, mais bon, il me souligne que c'est pas obligé, quoi. Parce que là, je sais pas si vous voyez, mais Il y a plein de choses à lire, et en plus dans chaque élément, regardez. Voilà. Et je peux lire quasiment tout le livre indirectement, quoi. C'est genre abusé, quoi.
And as they did eat, Jesus took bread and blessed it and broke it and gave it to them and said, "Take, eat. This is my body."
Ok, on va peut-être pas tout lire quand même, hein, parce que ça va être très très long, ça va être très très chiant. Je pense que c'est des indices à récupérer à un moment donné, mais je pense qu'il y aura un guide pour me dire quoi chercher dans ce bouquin, quoi, parce que sinon c'est pas possible, quoi.
It's Saint John, painted by Guido Rini. Several portraits of apostles, all signed by Guido Rini. Looks like someone touched this commode recently. There are fingerprints on the sheets and in the dust.
Ok.
Painting of Saint Mark from the collection of the apostles by Guido Rini.
Encore Guido Rini. Un peintre prolifique, visiblement. Fiez-vous à ma foi en l'homme à l'épée. Ok.
Of the 4 apostles shown in this piece, Paul is the only one who isn't an evangelist. He is the 13th apostle.
13e apôtre, ok, mais...
St. Paul is shown holding a sword.
Ok, donc il porte une épée, donc c'est lui.
Strange. There's hardly any dust, as if the painting's been cleaned recently. There's a small inscription engraved on the frame. Let's take a closer look. This is how Paul spoke to his pilgrims from Rome. Just above that, someone's written down the figure 11 on the painting and underlined it twice. No, what does that mean? So we have the figure 11 twice underlined, and a story of a group of pilgrims who it looks like Paul is speaking to. Maybe it's a code. There must be a connection. A text on Paul must be somewhere, and it must be associated with the figure 11.
D'accord, donc ça doit être les indices.
What's the story with these pilgrims? I mean, a connection with the figure, maybe?
Chapitre 11, verset 11.
Have they stumbled that they should fall? God forbid. But rather through their fall, salvation is come unto the Gentiles, for to provoke them to jealousy. Oh, wait, a note from Mother is carefully folded between the pages here. What does it say?
Bon, j'ai trouvé.
Dear E, I'm glad you found this note. I was afraid the code of the 2 groups of pilgrims would mislead you. Pick up the package. You know where, and hide it where no one will find it. It's imperative, awaiting your reply, hidden behind the youngest apostle. What? The youngest apostle?
Plus jeune apôtre.
What does Mother mean by that?
Caché derrière le plus jeune apôtre.
Choosing the Hebrew alphabet is no coincidence. It's got to be a reference to the Bible.
Ok. Il y a 8 traces de doigts. Et on a un indice, le plus jeune apôtre. Hébreu, on a un indice avec l'hébreu aussi. Là, il y a 2 trucs qui parlent du verset 8.
Thou hast put all things under his feet, for in that he put all in subjection under him. He left nothing that is not put under him.
Ok. Ça m'aide pas.
But that which beareth thorns and briars is rejected, and is nigh unto cursing, whose end is to be burned. Here's a message.
Ah.
There are some complications. Indeed, the Prussian is insistent.
Le
What's
Prussien
happening
est
at your
pressant.
end? Do you
Que se
need help?
passe-t-il de votre côté?
If tonight is not possible, let's say tomorrow evening, in the south room, where we reviewed
Dans
the
la chambre
situation.
sud.
When Paul understood that only the acts counted, he went back on his tracks. I await your confirmation to his
À
left,
gauche de Paul.
in the company of the pilgrims that have joined him. Yeah, this last comment is about their code. I should find new pilgrims near Paul.
Ok. Les actes des apôtres. On a le chiffre 4, mais là, il n'y a pas de chiffre 4.
And he became very hungry and would have eaten, but while they were made ready, he fell into a trance. Hey, there's a note here.
Voilà.
A message from Mother in reply to E. We must leave urgently, but first I absolutely must go beyond the nightmare. Watch out for Volner. He figured out I was avoiding him.
Volner.
Allay suspicion. See you tomorrow evening. Stand ready. For now, let's cease all communication until we meet. Take care of yourself.
I suppose this must be the last message. What happened afterward? If it's what I suspect, I fear the worst. What did Mother mean by, I absolutely must go beyond the nightmare? I must go beyond the nightmare. What does she mean by that?
C'est probablement littéral. Elle doit parler du cauchemar, un tableau qui s'appelle Cauchemar, hein, quelque chose comme ça. C'est probablement allégorique, ça me semble trop évident, tu vois.
Clearly, she must be trying to do something useful, but what? A nightmare. Does that remind me of anything?
C'est un tableau. C'est un objet.
Probably has to do with an object or something. Granting that this is the case, where might it be found?
Je pense que c'est une pièce du premier étage. Putain, difficulté 10. Oh là là, chaud. Non mais moi je pensais à la galerie des portraits. Non, c'est dans ma chambre, non, qu'il y a un truc, un tableau qui s'appelle quelque chose cauchemar. Non? Ou alors c'est... Non?
Thought it would have been over there, but something's telling me that it isn't.
C'est pas ça, c'est pas
Better
ma
keep
chambre.
searching. Mortimer's getting his guests together. I ought to join them so I don't look suspicious.
Putain, l'énigme est si complexe, quoi. Putain, j'ai pas trouvé, je dois rejoindre les autres invités, ça c'est dommage, ça veut dire que j'ai échoué, quoi. Ça fait chier. Oh là là, j'ai échoué, putain. Mais en même temps, c'est compliqué de ouf, quoi. Franchement, cette énigme-là, comparée aux autres, c'est... what the fuck, quoi. Comment c'est complexe. Tu passes du niveau 1 au niveau 10 de complexité, quoi. C'est abusé. Et pourtant, j'ai trouvé assez vite, mais je peux même plus accéder à la Bible, donc je peux vraiment plus rien faire, quoi. Je n'ai pas compris le message de ma mère au sujet du cauchemar. J'aurais pu retrouver la conversation entre ma mère et son associé. Putain, vas-y, j'ai tout foiré, quoi. Je passe même pas un niveau, quoi. Ah si. Ok. Du coup, je vais peut-être commencer à remplir vigilance. Hein. Lecture. Bon, voyons la suite.
It's time I went back and joined everyone in the small salon.
Bon, ça va, il n'y a pas de petites pièces planquées partout. Le jeu te pousse pas à refouiller à chaque fois tout le premier étage pour à la recherche de pièces, heureusement. Là, je vais aller rejoindre les autres au petit salon.
Emily, I must speak to
What's
you.
the matter, Louis?
I have news about your sister.
What have you found out?
Look, I've started piecing together the events leading up to my mother's disappearance and your sister's. Did my mother know about your secret?
Yes, even though I belong to the English chapter, her rank in the Order gives her access to a good deal of personal information.
Must have been Emma I saw in my vision. I was given to understand that my mother and your sister bonded during their stay. I've got a question that might seem a little bit strange.
I'm listening.
If I said go beyond the nightmare, would that ring any bells?
No, means nothing to me.
Chier.
Do you mean literally or figuratively speaking?
Au sens propre. Non,
It might be a place.
Trop au sens
I
propre,
don't
je
know
crois que
where,
j'avais
but
raison.
it's a lead.
You ought to ask His Eminence. He knows the house and its estate very well, being a frequent
Moi, je pense
visitor
à un tableau
here.
qui s'appelle Cauchemar,
Thanks for the
et
advice.
ça me dit quelque chose. Mais le truc, c'est que je pensais que c'était dans ma chambre, et apparemment non.
If what I saw is true, she might want to take revenge.
Je vais lui dire, on va jouer la sincérité. Hein. Dans ma vision, j'ai vu ma mère tuer sa sœur.
Emily, there's something else.
Go on then.
It's
It's about your sister. I don't know what happened exactly, but it's possible that my mother had a go at her.
I know, Louis. I found out that
Ah,
same
elle l'a su
evening.
tout de suite.
Well, thanks for not trying to hide it.
What? Why didn't you tell me?
I didn't know if I could trust you. Now I know I can.
Ah, c'est cool,
It
j'ai bien
seems
fait.
that your mother tricked Emma. She apparently asked her to hide an important book so that even she wouldn't know where it was.
Ouais,
And then
certes.
she shot her like a dog to make sure no one would
Oh, elle a
ever
tout
find
deviné.
it again.
Qui lui en a parlé? J'aimerais bien savoir qui lui en a parlé.
How did you find out?
Sir Gregory told me on my arrival.
I'm sincerely
Okay.
sorry, Emily.
Thank you, Louis. But you do realize your mother will have to accept the consequences of her acts.
There must be an explanation, Emily.
That's what we shall see.
Ouais. C'est
Come,
sûr.
Louis. They're waiting for
Je pense
us.
avoir de moins en moins confiance en ma mère, même si elle a sûrement fait ça pour une bonne raison. Ça craint. Elle mérite d'être punie pour ce qu'elle a fait.
You will pay dearly, Peru. I'm sure you were involved somewhere along the line.
Je crois pas que ce soit Perru.
Pretend you don't know. One piece of advice.
Volner a l'air impliqué.
Don't travel through France on your way back, or it'll cost you dearly.
Calm now, my friends. Let's calm down. Everyone seems to be a little unnecessarily heated. Don't
Je
forget
pense que
where
j'ai
you
bien fait de
are.
pas tuer
What's
Jacques.
going on here exactly?
Sir Gregory called us together to introduce the last guest. But hardly had we arrived when he set upon Monsieur Peru.
Pourquoi il s'en prend un
And what has Mr. Peru done to once again provoke someone's anger?
We don't really know just yet.
I get the feeling it won't be long before it gets out.
Ouais.
How could you dare do such a thing? Dios mio, you are all out of your minds.
Really, Duke Manuel?
Duc Manuel.
What made you kick up such a fuss?
What? Have you not heard? Well, let me inform you that yesterday morning at 10:22 a.m. precisely, in the middle of the Place de la Révolution in Paris, by decree of the National Convention which Monsieur Peru works for, King Louis was guillotined. What?
No.
The King of France is dead, gentlemen. Our monarchies are in danger. I have said it before.
How dare they?
Oh dear.
As if
Friends, let us calm down.
Don't pretend to be surprised. He got a fair trial.
Ridiculous! Bastard! He was sentenced to death by 361
Ah ouais, ça
votes
fait pas beaucoup.
to 360. You beheaded a king for one vote! Is that your democracy?
What an obnoxious act. Until this, anything was possible. This political coup will have grave consequences.
France is lost.
Gentlemen, please. Let us take a step back a
In
moment.
the name of holiness. He was the highest representative of God in
Oui,
France,
forcément,
Emily.
PG, ça lui plaît pas. Alors, je peux calmer le jeu, réfléchir aux conséquences pour l'ordre. Psychologie ou érudition. Psychologie.
Gentlemen, Duchess, we're all among people of reputable company here. We should be able to manage the conflicts of our nations in a respectful and orderly manner.
I fully agree with you, sir.
But
That's enough, sir.
with whom do I have the pleasure of speaking?
Louis Maras de Richer.
Are you related to Sarah de Richer?
Oui.
Sarah is his mother, Duke. Gentlemen, this news affects us all, but I must ask you to remain calm. It's not the first time history has taken us by surprise. Let's ensure that our respective countries are allowed to respond appropriately to this news.
Oh, rest assured. The response will not fall short, my friend.
Good for you.
Ouais.
Well, Your Grace, here I was preparing to introduce you as is proper, and you've beaten me to it. I'm delighted that we are all together at last. Our meeting will therefore be able to kick off shortly. I have just a few more little preparations to take care of before you all find out the reason for your presence here. In the meantime, I shall leave you to get to know one another. When you hear the bell, please proceed to the conclave room on my left, behind that door. I'll see you later.
Ok. Là, il va falloir que je discute avec les gens, je vais avoir besoin de points d'effort, hein, clairement. J'ai pas beaucoup de gelée royale, malheureusement, il m'en reste 2 ou 3. Personnage découvert. ouvert, manuel.
Could you spare a moment, please, sir?
I'm glad you asked. I want to talk to you too.
Ouais.
Of course.
I heard
Confrontation.
about
Une
your
seule
mother's
chance.
disappearance.
He looks concerned. I don't know why, but I doubt it's from sympathy alone.
Mais oui, on a vu
See what he wants
des
from
choses sur lui dans le
Any
bouquin,
news
mais
of
là
her?
j'ai qu'une seule chance.
Have you found her, maybe?
Ça me coûte 0.
Hear you speak, it sounds like you and my mother were close.
Let's say I hold your mother in high esteem, yes. We were even planning to work together.
That's what he was getting at.
Did she tell you about our arrangement?
Non. Ça va me coûter 1. On va continuer sur la psychologie, visiblement ça marche avec lui.
The cat's out of the bag now. More or less, but please do refresh my memory.
Yes, of course. Nothing of great importance in itself. During one of our discussions, she spoke of an old book, which might have been of interest to me.
Oh, bien sûr,
And she had
oui.
agreed to let me have
C'est
it.
lui le fameux acheteur.
A book about what?
Ancient occultism. As you are aware, I am a doctor of theology.
Ouais, ouais.
You might have come across some old books in her belongings, perhaps?
Je l'ai pas trouvé, non. Je continue sur la psychologie, ça a l'air de bien marcher.
The least one can say is that he doesn't beat around the bush. Sarah never travels without a few books. What does the one you're looking for look like exactly?
It resembles a grimoire. It's divided into 7 parts, each one individually
Chaque partie
locked.
fermée par une
It
serrure.
was made in such a way that if someone tried to tamper with it, the sheets would be permanently tarnished.
Okay.
It's a unique copy. There's only one.
The mere mention of it makes his face light up.
Ouais.
Well, I'll take a closer look, but I can't promise you anything. You seem very upset. Is it so important to you, this book?
Well, it's the search of a lifetime. What can I say? Every time I move closer to it, it seems to slip away at the last minute. I was very surprised to learn that your mother had it in her possession.
Ouais, c'est pour ça que tu l'as
I
traqué.
thought it was with a certain von Borchardt in Paris. Do you know
Ouais.
him?
Difficulté 3, manipulation niveau 1. Oui, je sais qui c'est.
Indeed. One of your close friends?
No, not really, but we were close once. Precisely over the case that concerns us now. Because he claimed to have the book I'm looking for.
Another dishonest person. What can you say? Can't trust anyone these days, huh?
No, you can't.
I hope I've been able to satisfy your curiosity, Mr. Von Volner, and that you succeed in finding what you're looking for.
Oh, and so do I.
And now, what if you told me who you really are working for, instead of keeping up this pretense?
I beg your pardon?
We both know what you're looking for, Von Volner. You're the one who Von Burchert was planning to sell it to.
For centuries,
Ouais.
all those who have come into contact with the Al-Azif have bitterly regretted it, Monsieur de Richet. You are playing a dangerous game. Please know that I am working for someone who does not appreciate anyone poking around in his business.
Let me guess.
Mortimer, le roi de Prusse. Ah, j'en sais rien. C'est pas un bras droit de Mortimer. Hein. Le roi de Prusse. Peut-être Holm.
It's Sir Gregory.
Correct.
Ah, j'ai deviné.
You ought to know then. He is not a man
Ah,
who
je
likes
suis
to be
saucé.
duped. You are walking on thin ice, sir.
Ah, je suis saucé d'avoir deviné. Ok, cool. Ok. Trouvez plus d'indices sur la note de votre mère. Ok, donc on en revient au truc de ma mère. Ça c'est cool d'un côté. Parce que ça veut dire que mon premier échec est pas... peut-être pas définitif. Trouvez plus d'indices sur la note de votre mère. Je peux parler à Napoléon, dont je connais toutes les faiblesses. Mais je crois pas qu'il va m'aider beaucoup. Hein. Je vais quand même aller lui parler puisque j'ai la possibilité de le faire, mais...
Monsieur Bonaparte, may I speak with you a moment?
Mais oui.
Je vais peut-être lui demander pour le cauchemar.
Does expression go beyond the nightmare mean anything to you at all?
Well, metaphorically, yes. It sums up the career of a soldier quite well.
Il va pas
I
m'aider.
doubt that is what you want to hear, though.
Non.
Indeed. That's surely not what I'm looking for.
Well, monsieur, if you are looking for a phrase book, Lord Mortimer must surely have one, given the number of books he has. You ought to check in the library of the tower. You never know.
Ok. C'est peut-être un meilleur indice qu'on pourrait le croire.
What do you think of Duke Godoy?
Well, I'd rather not express any opinion of him.
Why is that?
His reputation is enough for me.
Il est pas invulnérable à l'interrogatoire, lui? Attends, faut que je vérifie ça. Personnage, non, journal. Non, il est immunité à conviction et politique. On va l'interroger.
Meaning...
This gentleman enjoys people talking about him for too many reasons. His
j'adore son
undeserved
accent.
titles, more than 10 in just 4 years, and each one more prestigious than the one before.
Ouais.
You don't think he deserves them?
If I had seen him on the battlefield, there might be some doubt. But that is not the case.
Ok.
The Queen would rather not risk losing him, so she consoles him with awards and titles.
So you don't have a very positive opinion?
Non.
His coveting French Catalonia does not encourage me to have one.
I understand your point of view.
Ouais. Ok.
Would you have any more information about the conference Lord Mortimer spoke of?
Nothing at all. Mortimer is very committed to secrecy when it comes to his conferences. But given the presence of Monsieur Peru and ourselves, I think it must concern France to some extent. Otherwise, I doubt he would have invited 3 Frenchmen to his table, hein?
Certes. D'ailleurs, je trouve qu'il a un accent très français. Il est censé avoir un accent corse, mais bon. Après, je saurais pas reconnaître un accent corse en vrai. Je pense. Alors, on va
Well,
laisser Napoléon.
I'll be leaving you now. Shall we meet up again later?
Wait, monsieur.
Ah.
Any news of your mother?
Unfortunately not, no.
I hope to speak with her about my deal before I leave.
Eh oui.
Let me know if you find her. À plus tard, monsieur.
Ok. Est-ce que je peux pas remonter dans les chambres? Parce que si c'est pas dans ma chambre, c'est dans une autre chambre. Alors je peux monter à l'étage, donc ça c'est bon signe. Est-ce que ce serait intéressant de parler au président?
Mr. President, what do you think about your counterpart, Duke Manuel?
I'm very surprised he was able to accept Lord Mortimer's invitation, given the political situation in Spain.
I wonder what promise Lord Mortimer could have made to make him agree to come here, given the circumstances.
Who knows?
Ah putain.
Mr. President, can you tell me a little more about the coming conference?
Of course, Louis. That's why we're here. Lord Mortimer or Sir Gregory regularly organize meetings like this to put forward major projects.
Certes, bon ça ok.
What do you mean by major projects?
I'd prefer to let Lord Mortimer explain that
merci.
to you, Louis. Let's say he brings together influential people in order to consider possible actions to undertake to guarantee the future of nations.
Do you know the theme of the conference?
Not in the slightest. None of the guests know the theme before arriving.
Oui, donc
But
j'aurai
you'll see,
aucune,
everything will turn out fine.
j'aurai aucune info.
Don't
Je sais pas
worry.
pourquoi on me propose de demander à chacun des personnes, puisque personne peut m'en dire plus.
Go
Je peux lui
beyond the
demander à lui
nightmare.
aussi au cauchemar, mais je suis sûr que c'est un
Does
tableau dans
line
une des
remind
chambres,
you of anything
même si
in
c'est pas dans la
particular?
mienne.
You've caught me unaware here, Louis. Let me think about it a second. No, nothing comes to mind.
C'est un tableau dans une des
but
chambres,
I
c'est
am
sûr,
unable to
putain.
help you.
Ok.
Well,
Il faut que j'aille dans les chambres, il
thank
faut
you
que je
for your
vérifie.
Don't
C'est
mention it,
pas dans
my
ma
young
chambre.
friend. Regarding your question on the nightmare, don't hesitate to question the
D'accord,
others
il me dit
about
qu'il
it.
y en a qui pourraient me donner
Maybe
des
one
indices
of
sur le
them
cauchemar.
knows more than I do.
that's a good idea. Thank you once again.
C'est bien, le jeu te dit
I'll
ça
see you in a
quand
little
même
bit.
des indices. Là, il me dit que si je demande aux autres à propos du cauchemar, il y en a un qui pourra sûrement me trouver une réponse. Donc, je pourrais aller voir les autres pour demander, mais j'aimerais bien essayer de trouver tout seul. On va monter, on va regarder les chambres. Pas la chambre de la duchesse non plus. Parce que ça m'était pas proposé. Il y a bien la chambre de Manuel, mais je peux pas y aller apparemment. Peut-être la chambre de Perru. La chambre de Perru, il y avait beaucoup de choses cauchemardesques chez lui. George Washington. Putain, mais je peux aller dans aucune chambre en fait. Pourquoi je peux monter à l'étage si je peux aller dans aucune chambre? Ah. Ah, c'est parce qu'il y a Emily que je peux monter. Je peux lui parler. Puis je peux monter aussi au 2e étage apparemment. On va parler à Emily vite fait. Hein.
What
Elle
do
sait
you
pas
want,
déjà le
Louis?
cauchemar. Je lui ai déjà demandé pour le cauchemar, elle sait pas. Je peux lui reparler du cauchemar, c'est précisé, reparler.
I've already asked you, but I don't remember the answer. What did you say to me about going beyond the nightmare?
Good heavens, you're losing your memory. I haven't the least idea what it might mean.
Oh, all right. That's too bad.
Putain, j'ai pas envie de lui demander sur le colloque à venir, ça va servir à que dalle. Donc, je vois pas l'intérêt de lui reparler en fait. Je peux aller dans aucune des chambres quoi. Je vois pas l'intérêt de pouvoir parler à Emily si c'est pour qu'elle a rien à me dire. Je pourrais monter au 2e étage, mais dans mes souvenirs, il y a que le bureau de Mortimer, je vois pas à quoi ça va me servir. En plus, je crois pas qu'il y ait de tableau extraordinaire là-haut. Je vais peut-être y aller quand même. Peut-être que je me trompe, peut-être que c'était pas dans une des chambres le tableau en rapport avec le cauchemar, peut-être que c'était chez Mortimer. Je vais aller voir vite fait. Là-haut si je peux faire quelque chose. Tiens d'ailleurs j'ai eu des bonus tout à l'heure, hein, j'aimerais bien savoir de quoi il s'agit. Vous gagnez un point de compétence en logique pour l'honnêteté avec Emily. Vous gagnez un point de compétence en occultisme. Un message caché de votre mère dans la Bible. Ok. Bon. Voilà, c'est ce que je pense de ces énigmes à lettres. Parce que je trouve pas d'indice. Putain. C'est quoi déjà le nom du bouquin? Ah, l'Asif. Ah, mais Z, c'est pas sur la seconde lettre. Ah, je vais pas deviner le mot comme ça, hein.
That's what you generally feed birds.
Ok. Des baies rouges pour les oiseaux.
Might come in handy. Hang on. What's this painting?
Ah, c'est ici le tableau du cauchemar?
The Nightmare painted by
Ah.
Fuseli in
C'était
1781.
ici, c'était pas dans une chambre, putain.
This must be what my mother was
Au-delà
talking
du
about.
cauchemar.
Now just need to find out what she meant by go beyond. Hey, looks like it's mounted on rails on each side. It should lift up, I think. There must be a mechanism somewhere.
Mécanisme, ok. Ça doit être à cet étage, c'est pas possible autrement. Bon, en tout cas, j'ai trouvé le cauchemar. J'ai des baies rouges pour l'oiseau.
A mynah bird.
Waldo.
Sarah de Riche? Waldo, you know Sarah? Well, Waldo, is your master good? Sarah de Riche? Waldo, you know Sarah? What?
Repeat that, Waldo. Sarah? What about Sarah? Good God, what's been happening here? Well, Waldo, is your master good?
What's your boy, Waldo? What's your boy?
I don't really know what I was expecting.
Let's take a closer look. Dark chocolate beans. Very bitter. They're greatly prized in high society. A mynah bird. What have I done? It looks like I've killed him. Oh shit. I better not hang around.
Je suis très con. Je suis très con, je donne du chocolat à un animal. Du chocolat, c'est pas bon pour les animaux. Tous les animaux, je le sais en plus. Bon, le mécanisme est là, apparemment. Mais je vois pas en quoi ça servait que l'oiseau me révèle que Sarah était passée par ici et s'est fait attaquer.
Aha! I found it. Oh, what on earth is this? A ring lock now? Great. That's all I needed.
Looks like there's a marker on number 1 on the second roller.
Donc ce serait 1 pour le deuxième.
Now, what have we got here? Oh, it looks like a model of a lock. It's as if Mortimer is fond of complicating things sometimes. Well, I hope I never have to try and unlock it.
Cher monsieur Guido Poletti, je vous écris concernant la date des tableaux. Non, les dates des tableaux que je vous ai fait parvenir pour votre exposition temporaire. Veuillez noter que ces derniers faisant partie de ma collection privée sont datés selon le calendrier franc-maçon, AL en vigueur à l'époque. Comme vous le devinez donc, il vous faudra penser à retirer 4000 ans si vous voulez que le public ne s'étonne pas de la datation de ces œuvres. Inutile de vous rappeler que l'année maçonnique, ou AL, commence en mars, pas en janvier. Ok. Concernant le tableau de Longinus, je me suis permis de faire retoucher sa lance afin de mieux correspondre à sa véritable lance. Je ne saurais trop vous conseiller d'en faire autant sur vos représentations de ce dernier. Veuillez agréer, monsieur, mes salutations sincères. Lord William Alexander Mortimer, marquis de Westfordshire. Ok. L'année commence en mars au lieu de janvier, très bien. Là, il y a une liste de livres. « 180 000 toiles de maître. 180 000 toiles de maître. Si je dois enlever 4000 à une date, disons que j'enlève 3 zéros pour les 4000, enfin pour les 1000 de 4000, et j'enlève 4 au 28, ça ferait 24 zéros. Ah mais il y a un total. Pensez à réduire la consommation de bois l'année prochaine. 92, 2, 7. En 4000, ça ferait 5227. Encore une énigme, laisse tomber quoi.
History of the First Crusades by Pierre Amédée de la Salle.
Hey, the dates indicate AL, and it looks like 4,000 years have been added to our calendar. Oh, that counting system again.
Or how Louis VII, King of France, eager to be pardoned for the death of thousands of innocent people in the fire of the Church of Vitry, convinces the Pope to authorize him to lead his own crusade. The result, in Germany, a new outburst of violence against the Jewish community, and a monumental fiasco by poor Louis VII, cuckolded by his wife's uncle. The famous call from Pope Gregory VIII in his Audita Tremendi bull of 5,187. Oh, the crusade where Richard the Lionhearted distinguished himself. It states the first sea blockade of Saint-Jean d'Acre was broken in the 12th month of 5,190 AL, whereas the siege had been going on for 2 years. This painting isn't finished, and it looks like Mortimer probably did it. Not bad, but you can't exactly say it's been done in the style of the period.
La date que j'ai retenue, c'est 1198. Je peux me tromper, hein. Il y a de grandes chances que je me trompe. Par rapport à tous les éléments qu'on a, ça me paraît un peu facile.
Well, I got it wrong. It doesn't matter.
Ah, je pouvais pas regarder ce livre plus attentivement tout à l'heure.
Oh, the family tree.
The first William Alexander Mortimer. He was born in 1131 and distinguished himself during the Third Crusade, during which he rubbed shoulders with Richard the Lionheart. He showed outstanding bravery during the siege of Saint-Jean d'Acre. He died in 1211 in the country of Westford at the age of 80. What longevity! Nice. Nothing is mentioned about his wife.
The direct descendant of William Alexander Mortimer I was born in 1195 on his father's return from the crusade. Only son, more discreet than his father, it states that he was widely traveled.
J'ai tendance à penser que les deux premiers chiffres ce serait 1-1, mais
William Michael Mortimer. He died in 1275. There's no chapter dedicated to his mother.
Mais après, pour les deux autres, il y a plein de choix disponibles.
All right. For one, the women of the lineage are not mentioned at all. What a cavalier attitude. Right. Let's see. Who else is there? Only son, a descendant with a singular name. He also took a wife and had only one child, named William again. Another at random. William Mortimer again. Only son, him too. Born in 1573 and died in 1665. The Mortimers lived to a ripe old age, that's for sure. Discreet again. The summary states that he was an excellent merchant, and that towards the end of his life, he entered politics? Lord William Alexander Mortimer, lover of the arts and the sciences, he took up politics at an early age. After rapidly becoming influential, he decides to retire from public life in order to organize conferences reserved for the elite with the aim of finding answers to world problems. Blah, blah, blah. He's also an only son, and the book doesn't mention any known descendant. Hey, there are two dates on this painting. 1154 AD and 5154 AL.
Ouais. Ce serait 54.
Well, I got it wrong. It doesn't matter.
Fait chier d'avoir tué l'oiseau, putain. Je me sens tellement pas aidé là, putain. J'aurais dit 91 du coup, mais... Parce que comme les années commencent non en janvier et en mars, ça rajoute une année à la date. Ah, j'ai réussi! Oh, c'était ça!
Fais-moi voir, fais-moi voir.
Tiens, regarde. Je vais peut-être aller nous chercher 2 bières. Ned, qu'est-ce que tu te tripotes?
Ouais, genre...
Bah, fais pas ça.